At 5:01 a.m. local time, the bridge is in the middle of a routine watch handover when the surface search radar picks up something new. One contact appears, then another, then several more spreading across the screen in a loose arc. No alarms sound. The officer of the deck simply leans in closer. Bearings refresh. Distances begin to close. These contacts are not wandering with the current. They are moving with purpose. Multiple unidentified surface contacts goes into the log, written calmly, not announced for effect. No one needs to raise their voice. At first, the tracks look almost ordinary. 12 knots, 13, the kind of speed you might expect from regular maritime traffic. Harmless on paper, but the spacing feels wrong. Too precise, too deliberate. They are not following a shipping lane, not crossing naturally, not passing by. They are drawing together. By 5:20, every track accelerates. 17 knots, then 20. 8 contacts are now confirmed. Outside, the sea still seems empty. The carrier's island stands in dark silhouette against the first hint of morning light. On the flight deck, parked aircraft remain chained down and silent. Nothing in the scene looks dangerous, and that is exactly what makes the moment so unsettling. Inside the Combat Information Center, multiple screens confirm the same reality from different sources. Radar, optical feeds, electronic support measures. The picture is clean, almost too clean. A recommendation is made to go active. The reply comes back steady and controlled. Set condition 3, man all key stations. Steel vibrates beneath moving boots as sailors shift into position with practiced efficiency. Hatches are secured. Consoles come fully alive. Systems move from standby to ready without drama, without ceremony. There is no general alarm, no theatrical announcement. Just quiet preparation. Then the contacts change course. Not randomly and not as one solid line. They separate into smaller elements, pairs and trios, each adjusting by only a few degrees, but enough to change the shape of the water ahead. This is no longer a transit. It is a maneuver. Closest point of approach calculations update in real time. The numbers are uncomfortable. Not critical yet, but moving in that direction. The kind of approach that forces choices. The captain steps onto the bridge without fanfare, already looking at the plot. He does not ask for a summary. He reads the atmosphere. He reads the data. How many? 8 surface combatants. Nationality? Pending confirmation. At 5:26, long-range optics finally catch the shapes on the horizon. Gray hulls, sharp lines, unmistakably military. Not Coast Guard, not auxiliaries. Electronic signatures begin to line up with known profiles. The conclusion settles over the room before anyone says it aloud. 8 warships. Their speed rises again. 24 knots now. White water streams behind distant bows. The formation tightens. 2 angle toward the carrier's port quarter. Another pair moves wide to starboard, extending the arc. A box is beginning to take shape. CPA under 5 nautical miles, CIC reports, and decreasing. The carrier holds its course, and that matters. In waters like these, a heading change too early can look like hesitation. Too late, and it may be read very differently. The margin is narrow. The captain understands that. So does the force closing in. The first bridge-to-bridge hail goes out in standard international phrasing, calm and professional. No answer. A second call follows on a different frequency. Still nothing. The silence is not a technical problem. It is deliberate. On the escorting ship stationed off the carrier's flanks, posture shifts in small but meaningful ways. Radar modes change. Fire control systems align. Not engaged, not overtly aggressive, but clearly ready. Every movement is recorded. Every course change. Every increase in speed. At this point, the situation is no longer just unfolding. It is being documented. One of the approaching warships edges closer than the others. Through the optics, its bow wave appears larger and brighter. It is testing distance, testing timing, testing reaction. CPA now 3.8 miles. The captain gives a single nod. No speech, no dramatic pause. He does not need to declare control of the moment. It is already understood. Hold course, hold speed. The order is simple, but it carries enormous weight. The carrier continues forward, a floating city of steel moving through open water without yielding. Around it, 8 warships keep closing in, tightening their angles, compressing the space around it. No shots are fired. No warnings are shouted across the sea, and yet every system aboard the carrier is fully awake now, tracking the water, watching the clock, waiting to see which boundary will be tested first. At 5:33 local time, the geometry becomes unmistakable. What began as a loose convergence hardens into structure. The 8 warships settle into distinct roles as if following a plan no one can hear. 2 maintain pressure directly ahead, holding steady bearings. 2 more ships drift wider along the carrier's flanks, increasing the spread while still closing the distance. The remaining 4 stay slightly behind, holding enough separation to add depth to the formation. This is not a direct rush. It is controlled containment. On the bridge, the tactical picture refreshes every few seconds. Lines shift, projected paths begin crossing in places no one likes to see. Formation stabilizing, CIC reports. They're building a surface screen. The captain keeps his eyes on the display. He knows the pattern, not in this exact place and not with this many ships, but the method is familiar. Force the other side into a decision, reduce their time to think, and create the impression that the initiative belongs to you. The carrier does not slow, it does not turn. That decision is intentional. A faint vibration hums through the deck as the ship holds speed. Up top, nothing appears different. No aircraft move into position. No visible display is made. To someone watching from afar, it might even look like indifference. It is anything but. Below deck, every sensor is working at a higher tempo. Passive arrays listen for subtle changes in engine noise. Electronic surveillance follows emissions, sorting frequencies, pulse patterns, and power levels. Every ship out there is revealing something, even in silence. The nearest warship shifts course by 3 degrees, just enough to trigger another recalculation, just enough to send a message without words. CPA trending down to 3 miles, CIC announces. Recommend airborne presence. The response comes immediately. Launch the helo. On the flight deck, rotors begin to turn. The sound slices through the morning air. Clear, unmistakable, but not confrontational. The helicopter rises cleanly, lifts free of the deck, and pushes forward into the pale dawn. It does not charge the contacts or fly directly overhead. Instead, it holds an offset position, maintaining altitude while sending back sharp, high-resolution imagery. From above, the shape of the encounter becomes impossible to miss. 8 hulls curve around a single target like fingers closing around an object. The warships react, not dramatically, but enough to notice. One bleeds off a knot of speed, another widens its arc slightly. They are not backing away, they are recalculating. The aircraft overhead changes the equation. On the bridge, the captain watches the live feed in silence. Another hail is transmitted, this time relayed through the helicopter, clear, professional, and fully recorded. Again, there is no answer. The silence continues to speak for them. One ship on the flank presses in harder than the others. Its bow wave sharpens, its projected track inches closer to the carrier's path. This ship wants attention. It wants a reaction. It wants the carrier to move first. CPA now 2.7, CIC reports. That is inside the comfort zone. Still, the carrier holds course. Beyond visual range, the escort screen tightens in ways almost too small to notice. 1 degree here, a fraction of speed there. Everyone understands the same truth. No one wants to be the first to escalate, and no one wants to be caught reacting too late. The helicopter banks smoothly, sliding sideways to keep the most aggressive ship centered in its camera frame. Zoom optics pick up deck details, crew movement, antenna arrays. Every second is marked. Every image is stored. This has moved beyond intimidation. Now it is evidence. The box tightens further. The water ahead of the carrier is no longer measured comfortably in miles, but in minutes. If someone makes the wrong move, there may not be time to correct it. At last, the captain speaks. Log all bearing changes. Everyone. Aye, sir. His tone is calm, almost distant. That calm spreads through the bridge. It steadies the room. Then something shifts in the opposing formation. The most aggressive ship eases back by half a knot. Another vessel farther out pauses, then adjusts course to avoid crossing into a conflicting track. The box still exists, but it is no longer sharp-edged. Pressure is now moving both ways. From above, the helicopter captures the formation as it breathes, expanding, compressing, adjusting. Every motion hints at strain beneath the coordination. 8 ships can move with discipline, but maintaining silent unity under pressure is another matter. That kind of control begins to fray when timing gets tight. CPA stabilizing, CIC reports. No further reduction. The captain gives a single nod. The carrier keeps moving forward exactly as before, cutting through the narrowing water with the same steady confidence. Around it, the 8 warships remain close, far too close to feel routine, but the formation has lost some of its bite. What was designed to force a reaction has started to create hesitation instead. No shots, no direct threats, only steel, speed, and a standoff measured in angles and seconds as both sides wait to see who breaks first. By 6:01 local time, the confrontation settles into a fragile balance. All 8 warships remain in sight, their wakes carving long parallel marks across the sea. None presses harder now, none pulls away. The pressure remains controlled, sustained, deliberate. This is the stage where errors are most likely to happen. Not because things are moving too fast, but because fatigue begins to set in, and confidence starts turning into risk. On the bridge, the captain stands with his hands clasped behind his back, his gaze shifting between the horizon and the tactical display. He does not force the moment. He allows it to unfold. "Maintain posture," he says quietly. No escalation. Below, the ship's systems continue their silent work. Radar sweeps hold steady. Electronic surveillance tracks every spike in emissions, every brief change in signal strength. Passive sensors listen for subtle changes in propulsion noise that could signal a sudden burst of speed. The carrier's escorts remain out of sight to the naked eye, but they are fully present in the equation surrounding the standoff. Their role is not to intimidate. Their role is to remove choices. The helicopter keeps circling at a measured distance. From above, its cameras turn the situation into something more precise than radar alone can provide. The feed captures details radar cannot. Small hesitations on deck, slight changes in spacing, the human decisions hidden inside the machinery of steel. One of the opposing ships briefly increases the power of its surface search radar. The spike lasts only a moment, almost as if regretted the instant it happens. It is seen immediately. Emission log, CIC reports. Nothing else needs to be added. The carrier sends a third message. Not a warning, not a demand. Just a calm, factual transmission stating its position and intent, recorded like everything else. Once again, no reply comes back. But this time, the silence produces something visible. Two of the warships begin to slip out of perfect alignment. Not enough to resemble withdrawal, but enough to disturb the symmetry. Their wake patterns cross awkwardly before each ship corrects. It is a small detail, but an important one. The captain watches without saying a word. Then the lead ship, the same one that had pushed the closest earlier, makes a minor turn to starboard, 3 degrees, barely visible without instruments, but it is the first unmistakable concession. Track 7 adjusting heading, CIC confirms. The carrier does not react to it. There is no need. The helicopter widens its orbit once more, repositioning so all 8 ships remain in view. Its presence stays steady, neutral, impossible to ignore. The meaning is clear without being spoken. Everything here is being seen, and nothing here is uncertain. The opposing formation begins to show strain. Holding a tight surface screen demands precision and mutual confidence. Precision fades over time. Confidence weakens when no one wants to be the one blamed for pushing too far. Another ship trims its speed. Its wake shortens. The box begins to loosen, not breaking apart but softening around the edges. CPA increasing marginally, CIC reports. Up to 3.1. The captain gives a small nod. Along the horizon, sunlight finally clears the waterline, flattening the remaining shadows and bringing every hull into sharp relief. This is no longer something unfolding in darkness. Now everything is visible, to cameras, to satellites, to anyone watching from a distance. Daylight changes behavior. The carrier keeps moving ahead at the same speed, on the same heading. No turn, no reduction. It remains the one fixed point in the scene, the constant around which everything else is forced to adjust. Then the helicopter receives its next order. Return to ship. The aircraft climbs smoothly, banks away, and heads back toward the carrier. Rotor beats remain steady, the mission complete. It never crossed over a single deck. It never delivered a threat. And yet the moment it leaves overhead, the change is immediate. Without that watchful presence above them, the opposing ships hesitate. One corrects too sharply, then steadies. Another falls slightly behind the position it had been holding. The formation is no longer a box. It has become a loose arc. One final bearing change moves through the group like a slow exhale. 2 ships drop back by half a mile. Not retreat, but no longer pressure without interruption. Just enough distance, enough room to breathe. The carrier records every change, every second, every angle, every adjustment. This was never about pushing the other side into a visible withdrawal. It was about control. Control of timing, control of perception, control of risk. And now that control is starting to move. No weapons are used, no warnings are thrown across the water. Only a quiet demonstration that sometimes the strongest answer is the one that leaves no damage behind and no uncertainty in its wake. At 6:32 local time, the shift begins so subtly it could almost be overlooked. One warship on the outer edge of the arc drifts a few degrees off its line. Its wake bends outward instead of staying tight to the pattern. At first, it looks routine, until the rest of the formation fails to follow. The symmetry breaks. On the tactical display, the once clean geometry starts to come apart. Predicted tracks stop intersecting with the same precision. CPA values rise, fluctuate, then settle farther out. Formation integrity degrading, CIC reports. No one shows a reaction, but this is the moment they have been waiting for. Not a dramatic break, not a sudden reversal. The quieter moment when control starts to slip away. Another ship hesitates. It holds speed a few seconds too long, then drops a knot, leaving an uneven gap in the arc. The vessel behind it has to adjust to avoid closing too tightly. That move forces a third ship to alter course. The effect spreads. This is what coordination looks like when it exists without a single visible hand guiding it. 8 hulls, 8 captains, each trying to hold formation without becoming the one who pushes too far. The carrier continues ahead, seemingly untouched by the slow unraveling around it. The most aggressive ship, the one that had pressed hardest earlier, now finds itself exposed on the edge of the formation. Its closest support has drifted farther away. The position it tried to turn into an advantage is no longer protected. A moment later, it corrects course again, this time with more conviction. Track 7 opening distance, CIC confirms. For the first time in a while, the captain answers with a single word. Noted. What remains of the box softens into a staggered line. The opposing warships are no longer advancing together. Each is now keeping its own safety margin, its own space, its own exit. The shared risk that once held the formation together is beginning to dissolve. The carrier does not press the advantage. That restraint matters. The helicopter is back on deck. Flight operations settle into their normal rhythm. From a distance, the carrier looks unchanged, steady, predictable, almost ordinary. That impression is no accident. Then, one by one, the warships begin to peel away. No hard turns, no dramatic exits, just unmistakable separation. A slight move to port, a modest reduction in speed. Each action opens more water, more distance, more freedom of movement. No signal announces the breakaway. There is no formal end to the encounter, just motion. The captain watches the tracks widen across the display. Log all course changes, he says. Timestamp everything. Aye, sir. The nearest warship drifts beyond 4 nautical miles, then 5. The others follow, spreading back into open water. Their coordinated screen dissolves into individual routes. The pressure eases slowly like air escaping from a sealed compartment. Ahead, the sea opens once again. The carrier's path is clear, unblocked, uninterrupted, unanswered. But the event is not truly finished. Not yet. Every sensor record, every optical image, every electronic trace is already being assembled into a report that will travel far beyond this stretch of ocean. What happened here will be reviewed, studied, replayed, and remembered. The carrier keeps its course and speed. No pursuit, no remarks, no celebration. That silence is part of the message. The opposing ships fade into the distance, still visible for a time, but no longer shaping the moment. Surface picture normalized, CIC reports. The captain gives a small nod. He understands exactly what just took place, even if no one outside this ship will ever experience it as it happened. A formation came apart without a single shot. Pressure shifted without open escalation, and the carrier passed straight through the center of it all, steady, untouched, and clearly in command. By 7:04 local time, the sea looks ordinary again. From the flight deck, there is no sign that 8 warships had pressed in less than an hour before. The horizon stretches wide. The water lies calm. The carrier stays on course, engine steady, wake clean, and uninterrupted. But beneath that calm surface, both literally and procedurally, the real work is already underway. On the bridge, the posture eases by degrees. Readiness steps down in a controlled sequence, never all at once. Systems remain online. The logs keep running, though the sharp edge of the moment has passed. This is how professionals come out of a standoff. No ceremony, no visible relief, no wasted motion. Stand down to routine operations, the captain says. No one celebrates. No one breaks discipline. Inside the Combat Information Center, the data is already being assembled. Timestamps are matched, bearing changes are checked against video feeds, emission spikes are tied to specific hulls. Nothing is thrown out, nothing is guessed at. This is where the true result of the encounter takes form. Every move made by the opposing ships, every pause, every correction, every moment of hesitation is preserved as part of a larger pattern. Not for headlines, not for statements, for understanding. The helicopter crew begins its debrief in the same measured tone as everything else. Altitudes, angles, visual confirmations. No one talks about emotion. They do not need to. The footage says enough on its own. Above them, flight deck activity slips back into its familiar rhythm. Aircraft are inspected. Chains are adjusted. The ship returns to the visible routine that hides how ready it always remains. The escorts report their own observations over secure channels, quietly filling in the parts of the picture the carrier could not see directly. Movements beyond visual range, subtle shifts just outside the main frame. Together, all of it forms a complete account, one that needs no dramatic interpretation to carry its meaning. Outwardly, nothing seems different, but somewhere far from this stretch of ocean, the consequences are already moving. What happened here will shape future decisions, future spacing, future judgments about how close is too close, how pressure is applied, and how restraint is understood. This is the part most people never witness. The captain reviews the final summary. It is concise, factual, stripped of anything unnecessary. The wording is exact because exact language carries weight. He signs it without comment. The carrier keeps moving ahead exactly as it did before the first radar contact appeared. No detour, no correction. No visible trace of what came and went around it. The ship does not acknowledge the absence of the vessels that tried to shape its course. That is intentional too. The lesson here is not about spectacle. It is about discipline. It is about knowing that escalation is a choice, not an unavoidable outcome. That control can be shown without display, that the strongest response is often the quietest one. Far off in the distance, the last of the opposing ships disappears below the horizon, until it is no more distinct than any other gray outline at sea. Their presence is gone, but their actions remain recorded. The ocean returns to what it always is, vast, indifferent, unchanged, and the carrier moves on. No shots, no damage, no public statement needed, only a standoff resolved in full detail, filed away as another example of how modern naval power is exercised. Not by force alone, but through restraint, awareness, and the confidence to hold the line when the pressure is highest. This is what control looks like when no one is watching.